Welcome to the Lights Out podcast. Bedtime stories for boys and girls for when the lights go out. Good evening. Are you ready for bed? Are you ready for a bedtime story? Tonight's story is called The Spoon and the iPhone. Once upon a time, there was a little boy called Oliver. And when he was old enough to eat his food by himself, his grandma gave him a spoon. It wasn't just any old spoon. It was pure silver. His grandma had melted down some of her old necklaces that she got from her mom. And she got them from her mom, who got them from her dad, who got them from his dad, who got them from a witch, who stole them from a wizard, who found them in a cave where the Gruffalo had left them after eating up the blind man who had made them. Anyway, that story could go on forever, but the picture is this. The spoon was special. And as soon as he could use it, he knew it was going to be with him forever. It was quite big and heavy for him at that time because he was only about 2. But it became his favourite spoon, and every time he sat down for his breakfast, or his lunch, or even his dinner or supper, or even his snack of a yogurt or a custard, or something else you could use a spoon for, he always asked, "Mom, can I have my spoon, please?" And whenever his dad was getting the food ready, he would always give him a different spoon. And Oliver would say, "Daddy, give me my spoon. That's not my spoon." Because every other spoon didn't feel as good. It didn't hold as much. And it was never as comfortable to scoop up the cereal and put it in his mouth. Anyway, he loved the spoon. He took it everywhere as well, and he never lost it. And as he grew up, he always used the same spoon. In fact, when he was a bit older, he took the spoon with him when he left home and went to university. But this story is about a little bit before then, when Oliver was about 12. He'd actually started to forget the spoon a little bit, and when his dad made his dinner and gave him a different one, he didn't say anything. He just ate with that one. And sometimes when he was in a bit of a rush, he would just grab the first spoon he could find. But most days, he did like to use the spoon, and he was quite grateful for the silver spoon that his grandma gave him, that her grandma and grandpa and witches and wizards and gruffalos had all had a hand in, had handed it down. And so, the story begins when one day, as the spoon was sitting there next to the bowl of cereal, waiting for Oliver to pick it up and use it to scoop up the nice, cool, crispy cornflakes with the water and milk. Not the water, just the milk. He could hear the bedroom door open, and he could see Oliver's eyes light up. "Here he is," he thought. "I'm getting ready," said the spoon. But as Oliver sat down, he placed a very big and shiny, square-looking thing right next to the spoon. He didn't touch the spoon. Instead, he picked up the thing and kept looking at it. And then he put it down, and he picked it up, and he put it down. Then he used the spoon. "Oh, at last," thought the spoon. "I thought I was never going to be used." Then he put it down and picked up the big square shiny thing again. Then the shout came from the kitchen. Oliver's dad said, that iPhone down now. What have we told you about using it at the kitchen table?" As soon as the spoon heard the word iPhone, he knew he'd come face to face with the thing that he'd heard being talked about so many times. You see, the spoon could hear. Even when it was in the kitchen drawer, it could always hear Mommy and Daddy talking. They used to talk in the kitchen because it was quite far away from the boys' bedroom, and so they would go there for a chat. Quite recently, they'd been going there quite a lot because Oliver was changing apparently, and he wanted one of these iPhones. So now the spoon was face to face or side to side with this iPhone. Suddenly, the spoon thought the whole earth was going to shatter. Bzzz, bzzz. Oliver picked it up. The spoon had a bit of a headache. What was that? Again he heard the dad shouting, "Put that blinking iPhone down." All right, said Oliver. "Just my friend. Wants to know if I can go and play football." Ah, thought the spoon. That was a message. Then he plonked the iPhone back down next to the spoon and picked up the spoon so fast, gave him the bad neck, and he gulped up his cereal and threw the spoon almost across the table. "Be careful with that cutlery," said his mom. "Sorry, I didn't mean to throw it." Oliver, being a nice boy, picked the spoon back up and put it next to the bowl. He got some tissue and cleaned up the bits of milk that had flown across the table. And then he picked up his iPhone and wiped the milk off that. Oliver sat down in his seat again next to the table and looked and stared at his phone. The spoon had never seen Oliver like this before. "Is he all right? What's going on?" "Right, I'm off. See you later." And Oliver ran out the door. The spoon sat there, quite in disbelief. What had just happened? The earth had shook, and I thought I'd broken my neck. And then Oliver, who usually picks me up and eats food very, very well, had hardly touched me. He just had that iPhone in his hand all the time, and he stared at it like a zombie. Oh my gosh. That man in the cave that the Gruffalo ate, he would turn in his grave if he found out what was happening to this silver now. Anyway, at lunchtime, the spoon was back on the table, next to the plate and the knife and fork. Here we go. Where is he? Where is he? Your food's getting cold, the spoon thought to himself. And then Mummy picked up the spoon, the knife and fork, and put them back in the drawer, and he heard a big smash as Mum threw the plates and all the food into the trash. What's going on? Thought the spoon. And so he tried to peek out of the drawer, but obviously he was a spoon, so he couldn't move, and he was quite heavy. But there was a little bit of magic in him, so he heaved and pushed, and kind of magically the drawer popped open a little bit, and he was able to see from the shiny fridge a little reflection of Mom crying on the sofa. Quite soon after that, it was dinner time, and back out of the drawer came the spoon, down on the table next to the plates and the knife and the fork and the cup and the TV that was across on the wall opposite the sofa. The door opened and Oliver walked in, again with a big smile and a twinkle in his eye. But he didn't look up and he didn't say hello. He just walked to the table and sat down. And there, again, next to the spoon, was the iPhone. Go and wash your hands, said Oliver's mum. All right, he said. So he got up and he went to wash his hands. Well, that left the spoon and the iPhone alone for a second. And so the spoon, being a bit of a magic spoon, spoke to the iPhone. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm the spoon. I'm Oliver's spoon. I'm the spoon that his grandma gave him. The one that her mum gave her, and her mum gave her, and her dad gave it to her, and his dad got it from a witch, who stole it from a wizard, who found it in a cave, where the Gruffalo had left it after eating the blind man who'd made it. Is that right? Said the iPhone. Well, good for you. What do you do? Well, I'm a spoon, said the spoon. So what do you do? Said the iPhone. Well, I live over there in the drawer with the other knives and forks. There's a pair of chopsticks, but they hardly get used. There's some big spoons in there, and they get used for mixing things up. But I am Oliver's spoon, and he's had me for about 8 years. Good for you. So what do you do? Well, Oliver uses me to eat his food. Oh, really? Yes. And so the spoon asked the iPhone, what do you do? What do I do? What don't I do? I can call people anywhere in the world at any time. I can send them messages. I can take videos and send those to anybody, anywhere in the world at any time. I can record. I can play music. I can do anything. I can calculate anything faster than the speed of light. Wow, said the spoon. I have no idea what you just said, but it sounds cool. Of course, the spoon didn't really know much, because it was a spoon that had been kept in the drawer. But it had seen a few things. So, said the spoon, what do you do with Oliver? Well, said the iPhone, he uses me to text his friends and send them messages and take funny pictures on Messenger and Facebook with these things off his head. It's pretty cool. Do you want to have a look? And the iPhone flipped on its side and started to show all the things it could do to the spoon. Well, that made the spoon feel very, very jealous and very, very inadequate, which means it felt like it wasn't good enough. So the spoon flipped on its side and said, look at me. See how worn down I am. Oliver's used me almost 3 times a day for the last 8 years. Do you know how many times that is? Yep, it's about 9,000 times, said the iPhone. Oh, that's a lot then, isn't it? Said the spoon. Do you know how many pictures I've taken? I don't. 12,462, not including the videos, or the downloads, or the screenshots, or the Snapchats that have disappeared. All in all, there's about 46,000, and that's only in the last 2 months since Oliver got me. And there you go. Thought the spoon, feeling more and more inadequate. Not good enough. And have you seen the way he stares at me? He can't keep his eyes off me. I think he's in love with me, said the iPhone, very, very arrogantly. Thought the spoon, as he thought about all the days that Oliver had cried to his mummy to wash the spoon. He slammed his fist on the desk and the table. I want my spoon, that's all I want. Where's my spoon? And now he was face to face with his nemesis, the iPhone. But actually, the spoon quite liked the iPhone. There was something about it. He just couldn't put his finger on it, even if he had the fingers. Then Oliver came back in, smelling quite nice after washing his hands with soap. He sat down. The iPhone looked at the spoon, and the spoon looked at the iPhone. Oliver picked up the iPhone, and as the iPhone was being lifted into the air, he kind of winked at the spoon, as if, he picked me up first, so he loves me more than you. And then he turned away and never spoke to the spoon again. Well, the spoon felt very, very sad. And also, in a kind of funny way, he really wanted to be like the iPhone. He was quite jealous. I want to be an iPhone, thought the spoon. And that every day, from that day on, the spoon had a dream to be an iPhone. He saw the iPhone almost every day, but the iPhone never spoke to him after that. It's as if the iPhone thought he was a bit too good for the spoon. You only do one thing. The echoes of what the iPhone had said to the spoon rung in its spoony head, and it quite sometimes cried itself to sleep. Day after day, Oliver picked up the iPhone more than he picked up his spoon, and the spoon resigned itself to the fact that it was number 2 in Oliver's life. And then, one day, Oliver came back with another iPhone. It was another iPhone 6 or 7. I don't know why it had a different number, thought the spoon, but you're different to the other one. I am, said the iPhone, a bit more arrogantly than the other one. I'm better than that old thing. Do you know what I can do? Well, I heard what the last one can do. So what can you do? Well, I have another 24 million megapixels. I could take 53,000 pictures a second. And I've got 5 cameras. Look at these. And my battery lasts for 3 days. The other one had to charge every 3 hours. What a loser. The spoon could not believe what he was hearing. It's like he was talking to a superhero. But anyway, the superhero was very arrogant as well, and after that day didn't speak to the spoon. So the spoon got even more certain that he wanted to be an iPhone. Not long after that, there was another one, and he met the spoon, and he told the spoon all the things that he could do that the other one couldn't, and then asked the spoon, so what do you do? I'm a spoon. Yeah, so what do you do? Nothing much. I just sit in the drawer over there. That's my house. I live with the other spoons and the knives and forks and the chopsticks. We've got 2 pairs of chopsticks now, and they get used quite a lot. Good for you. So what do you do? Well, like I told the other iPhone and the other one, I just kind of get used to feed Oliver. I see. And then the iPhone turned itself onto silent mode and didn't speak to the spoon again. This happened about 4 more times in the next 3 years, and the spoon saw about 5 different iPhones. He couldn't believe it. And then a few strange things happened. First of all, one day when Oliver came home, his mom put a different spoon on the table, but Oliver banged his fist on the desk, and said, "Mom, get me my spoon. It's my spoon. I want my spoon." "Okay, don't worry." And so Mom put the spoon onto the table. The second thing the spoon realized was it was still there. It was still the spoon that Oliver's grandma gave him, whose mom gave it to her, whose mom gave it to her, whose dad gave it to her, him, who got it from a witch, who stole it from a wizard, who found it in a cave, where the Gruffalo had left it after eating the blind man, who made it. Anyway, where was I? So, he realized that he was a spoon that had never changed. You can't get a spoon 3 and a spoon 4 or a spoon 5. There's only one spoon, and he was the one spoon. And there, yet again, was another iPhone, a bit bigger and a bit thinner, and a bit more arrogant than the last one. But the spoon was the same. Then one day, it was time for Oliver to go to university. And you're right, he didn't leave the spoon at home. He took it with him, all the way on the aeroplane to a different country. Of course, the spoon flew in the belly of the plane, in the packed luggage, and the iPhone flew in the cabin next to Oliver. So, Spoon wasn't very happy about that. But when they got unpacked, and he got settled into his nice new drawer with his nice new cutlery friends, he was there again on a different kitchen table, next to a different bowl, next to a different cup, with a telly that was on a different wall, next to a different sofa. And there, next to the spoon, was a different iPhone again. I tell you what, if the spoon had eyes, it would be rolling them like this. Not again. And so, with one hand, Oliver had the iPhone, and in the other hand, he was using the spoon quite quickly to eat his rice, and porridge, and soup, and yogurt, and ice cream, and all the things that young men do when they go to university. Noodles and soup and stuff. And then one day, something terrible happened. At least for the spoon, and quite terribly for Oliver as well. One night, Oliver had invited a lot of friends around for a very noisy time, thought the spoon. It was almost banging the drawer off its hinges. The cutlery was rattling together. It was making such a noise that the spoon couldn't even sleep properly. And then all the spoons and all the knives and forks came out because a lot of people were coming to use them. Of course, the spoon got used by Oliver. But after that, they all started to dance. Oliver and his friends, that is, not the spoons. And they were drinking. And then, what happened? One of his friends dropped the spoon down the back of the sofa. And after mumbling and sound bouncing around, there was silence. All Oliver's friends had left, and Oliver lay on the sofa and fell asleep. The spoon was inches away from Oliver, and he could hear his heartbeat and his snoring a bit. But it was quite warm, and he thought, this is quite nice. And then he saw the iPhone in Oliver's hand as he was fast asleep. Oh, what a lucky phone. This is what it must be like to be an iPhone as well. Lying there next to the person who's holding you. And so, the next day, the spoon was still stuck in the sofa. And he could hear Oliver eating his breakfast with a different spoon, kind of mumbling and grumbling and groaning. "Where's my spoon?" He called his mum and said, "I've lost my spoon." "Oh dear, Oliver, what did you do with it?" "Oh, I don't know. Some people came around last night, and I think after we used all the knives and forks, I think we must have lost it." "Well, have a look. That was your grandma's spoon that she gave it to you. It was made of pure silver." I know. That's why I brought it with me. I'll make sure no one of your friends stole it or took it away." "Don't be silly, Mum." "Listen," said Mum. "That was a present from your grandma. She melted down her necklace that she got from her dad, who got from her mom, who got it from her gran, who got it from a witch, who stole it from a wizard, who found it in a cave where it was left by a Gruffalo that eaten the blind man who made it. But anyway, Mum said, just have a good look while you can." And so he did, and the spoon actually felt Oliver's fingers brush past his back as his hand was stuck down the sofa. Ugh! But Oliver couldn't find it. And so, that was the spoon's life for about 2 weeks. And then the other terrible thing happened. There was another party, and the other spoon got lost down the sofa. And so these 2 spoons were in the back of the sofa. And then the whole electricity went off in the building, and it didn't come back on. Not for a month. And it was okay in the house for about a day. And then Oliver started to get angry. He started to be very angry because his iPhone didn't have any batteries. And he slammed it on the kitchen table and ran around. He was so angry, he kicked the sofa and it flew across the room and smashed the TV, which dropped onto the back and cut a big hole in the sofa. And there, Oliver could see the shiny spoon twinkling through the crack. He ran forward and grabbed the spoon and held it up. He held it against the moonlight because there was no lights, and he felt very, very safe and reassured because that was the spoon his grandma gave him. So Oliver went to sit back down. He put the spoon on the table. He cleaned it with his t-shirt first, and he put it on the kitchen table. And then he went to the fridge, which wasn't working, by the way, because there was no electricity, right? And he got out some of that milk that you don't need to put in the fridge. You just buy it and it lasts months. What's it called? UHT milk, I think. So he got some of that, and he got some cereal, and he started to eat with the spoon. Well, he ate very well. And as Oliver finished and put the spoon down next to the iPhone, which was flat on its face, Oliver sat back. The spoon looked over at the iPhone, who could barely speak because it literally had no battery left. But you do know that when phones don't have a battery, they've still got some energy left inside, little tiny bits, just enough for them to speak to a spoon. "I'm gonna die," said the phone, "and there's no electricity to charge me." "Well," said the spoon, "what can you do when you die?" Nothing. Not even be a spoon." "That's right," said the spoon. And then the iPhone turned off forever. The iPhone was not a spoon. The spoon was a spoon. And because there was no electricity, Oliver picked his iPhone up and threw it in the bin. He picked his spoon up and threw it in the sink and washed it a little bit later, but the iPhone was gone. One of many the spoon had seen gone, and then the spoon learned his final lesson, which was, sometimes you don't have to be fancy like an iPhone. You don't have to do a million things super quickly. You just have to be yourself, even if you're a spoon, because sometimes you can only do what you're made to do. The end.